One sec. Okay.
Okay, again, this is Twella, and I'll be talking now about actually the testing itself. Okay, oh. Okay, Radon, our reservation, the Spokane Reservation, we're located in eastern Washington, and we're in one of the Zone 1. And we have uranium deposits and a high radon potential for the reservation. We've had testing previously, and that showed about 30 to 40% of our homes on the reservation were higher than the U.S. average. And then we had a history. There were some testing and mitigation efforts back in the 80s, but really not a whole lot of work since then. So this is again the radon potential map, and really pay attention to the word potential because it talks. These aren't necessarily from actual radon testing results, but it's a combination of results plus geology. So there, the white square up in the left-hand corner is where our reservation is at, and in one of those red counties up in northeastern Washington. This website, AirCheck, you can get your radon levels by state and also get a little bit more local data. So this, for instance, clicked on our county, and it shows that our average in Stevens County is 9.1 picocuries per liter. So you can find this map on their website, radon.com, and look for some more local data. So this is actually from test results that they compile and keep for you to search. So where to start? First, you really want to test your own homes, offices, and schools. If you are in an air quality program or you're trying to promote this to the community, the best way is to get the personal experience yourself. Test your own home, test your office. You can't really go out into the community and encourage people to do these tests if you haven't done it yourself. And it also gives you a background to explain where people may have confusion with the directions, or you clarify some of the directions that you yourself have questions on. There's also a lot of standard operating procedures available from all over EPA sources. One of the first places to start when you're doing research is epa.gov/radon. You can find a lot of these, just basically a straightforward format on how to go forward and do your testing. And there's also additional training options available. There is a certification which is not required for tribal programs, but EPA did have a national radon proficiency program that closed in 1998 due to the agency's limited resources at that time. And there were two at that time recognized non-federal programs, the National Radon Safety Board and also the National Environmental Health Association's Radon Proficiency Program. And that is the one, NEHA, that they provide certifications for residential measurement providers. And basically, it's a certification that says you're qualified to place, retrieve, and interpret radon results. It's an entry-level course, 16 hours, and you can pass an exam afterwards and be certified for 2 years. So if you'd like more information, you can search those two websites for, they have different training opportunities all the time. There's also a lot of online training available if you would like to go this direction and get a certification. Some of the benefits, you're recognized as a professional, you get an ID card, get a lot of information from the industry, so newsletters, some information on educational programs and conferences. There's regional radon meetings, a national conference each year. You're also listed on the internet, so as a radon professional. If people are searching in your area for radon professionals, there I am, popped up for Welpinet, Washington. So if anybody's looking for radon testing, then you'll show up in your area. So now on to some of the actual testing itself, the testing protocols. Basically, the first thing you're going to start out with is short-term testing, and those can last anywhere from 2 to 7 days. You want to test in the lowest lived-in room of your home, and you really want to know what your family is actually being exposed to. So you don't want to test a crawl space unless you're hanging out in your crawl space all day. But if you have a basement room that may be used as a family room, you want to test if you have people spending time in the basement, if you have any bedrooms in the basement. Otherwise, it's the first level that your family is living in. Definitely fluctuate seasonally, and retesting is recommended, or consider long-term tests if you get results that are close to the EPA action limit of 4. Anywhere around there, you really want to consider retesting before you invest in a mitigation system or anything further, just because they do fluctuate seasonally. Now about which room in the house. You want a room with low traffic but frequently occupied. So a bedroom works good, an office, living room, away from drafts and away from extreme areas of heat and high humidity. So that no laundry rooms, no bathrooms, and avoiding direct sunlight. In the room itself, you want to place the device at least 20 inches off the floor. You could also hang. A lot of them come with little hooks. You can hang it. You want it hung in the airspace that you're breathing. So off the floor, 6 feet. And then also 3 feet from exterior doors, windows, or other openings. And this is where you want to keep it out of the drafts. 12 inches from the exterior wall, and at least 4 inches from other objects right around it, including if you're doing 2 tests for quality assurance. I'll talk now about some of the actual measurement devices and the ones that we decided on for our tribe. The first is an activated charcoal device, and this is kind of the most common. The one I'm showing here, this one's from AirCheck, and it's a little envelope. They also come in canister formats. And then also we have an EPERM system, which is electric ion chambers, and a continuous radon monitor. So I'll go into a little bit more about each type of monitor and what their benefits are. So these are the activated charcoal devices. Like I said, they come in different forms. These are for short-term tests, and they have to be analyzed within 6 days. And each device is different, so really make sure to read the directions carefully on how long they each need to be deployed. Some of the advantages of the charcoal devices: they're compact, convenient, cheap. You can use them for the 48-hour test. They're easily mailed to the labs for analysis. They don't require power. They're quiet, and you get a quick and accurate analysis. Some of the disadvantages: you're limited to short-term sampling, and they don't provide any indication of changes. So you don't know what the peaks and valleys are during your radon measurement. You'll get an average at the end, and that's pretty much all you'll see for results. It's also hard to detect tampering, so there's really no way to know if your homeowner had opened up all the windows or taken the test, put it outside, and then brought it back in before you came to pick it up. So there's really not a good way to tell if there's any tampering happening. The EPERM system it's also for short-term and long-term measurements, and you can also measure radon in water with an additional kit. So tests can be anywhere from 2 days up to a year, dependent on the configuration, the kind of disk that you use, and what you're anticipating your radon levels to be. So the photo at the bottom is just a picture of the EPERMs themselves and just kind of what goes on inside there. And to measure these voltages, this is a little machine that it's a voltage reader. And so basically, it's like a little battery. The electrodes are pre-charged by the manufacturer. You can reuse them over and over again. And the voltage is measured and recorded before you deploy and then after you deploy. And so there's some calculations and math that's involved, but basically you lose about 2 volts per day per picocurie per liter. So as you deploy your tests, your voltage is going down, and how fast it's going down depends on how high your radon concentration is. Some of the advantages, you can, like I said, use them for both short-term and long-term. You can reuse them until the voltage falls below 200 volts. And then when it gets low, all you do is send it back to the manufacturer and they recharge them for $15 each. Some of the disadvantages, they're a little more sensitive than the other types of tests. They're sensitive to external gamma radiation. There's a correction in the software that you can do, or you can do a separate measurement of gamma radiation before you do your test. Also sensitive to altitude changes, and they can be damaged. You have to be a little bit more careful with them, not to get them dusty, not to throw them around in your truck. And then when you're measuring your voltages, just to make sure they're measured at the same temperature. So it's easy if you have the machine back in your office and you're always doing the calculations in your office. That's an easy fix to that. Continuous radon monitor. This is the one we got and from Sun Nuclear, and it provides continuous measurements. And the measurements that it's tracking is the impacts from alpha particles, and the data in this equipment, you can plot them and average. So you can get an hourly reading and see what the radon levels are doing throughout the day. Low efficiency, mainly because it's one test. You get some good information from it, but it's really one room at a time, one house at a time, so really low efficiency. But these are great for diagnostics. Some of the advantages, the exposure is variable. You can go anywhere from the 48-hour test to several months. You get good precision, and you can track the hourly variations. There's also an option to print on site, so it'll print the results right there if you want to provide that to the homeowner on site. These are also great at indicating tampering or ventilation. You can see some of them have options to track the temperature. So if there's a major temperature drop, you may see that they've ventilated the house. And then there's also indications if there's movement. So if somebody had touched the equipment during the test. Some of the disadvantages, it's higher priced, requires a trained operator. All of these, the EPERMs and the continuous radon monitor need annual calibration and performance tests. And so again, like I said, you can only test one room at a time, but it does give some good data. And these are some of the results. So this is an output from one of the first tests I did, and this was actually my office. And so the average came out to 8.6, but it shows the peaks. So you could see that it went up to 13.7 in the mornings. And this is before staff is getting to work. The building's closed up all night, and radon's just building. And so we saw that by adjusting the ventilation rates, we can get that rate down, but we still do need a mitigation system. But there are some fixes that you can make just by adjusting ventilation rates. So the first thing that we did was adjusted our HVAC system to come on before, like an hour or two before people start getting to work, to drop that level down while we're here in the office. And so we will be working on getting a mitigation system here. Just need some more hands right now. There's also do-it-yourself kits, and these are available from a lot of different retailers. the home improvement stores, hardware stores. And really what you want to look for is look at the lab fees first. So that's one thing. When you're reading these tests, make sure to look at the small print. So some of the tests include lab fees, and then some of the cheaper ones, they look like a great deal, $10 for 2 tests. But then when you open up the packaging, you see that the lab fee could be $30 per test that needs to be sent when you send your test in. And also, again, like any of the tests, just make sure you read and follow all of the included instructions. Handwriting is an issue, so really write clearly on your the information that you send back to the lab, and specifically really keep track of the time it starts, the exact date and time it starts, the exact date and time it ends. Those are the most important things to keep track of. Also, the shipping schedules are very important. So, depending on how your community is, what your access is to shipping, just you really have to schedule your tests knowing what's coming up. If there's a holiday coming up, if the post office is going to be closed, those kind of things really need to pay attention for some of the more rural communities. Some of the next steps after your testing, you really want to look to address some of the institutional and behavioral issues in your communities. So first is testing, education, and outreach, and then you want to look at what more can you do if you do see that your community has issues with radon. One of the things that we looked at is our tribe doesn't currently have building codes. So we're in the process of developing building codes that would require any new construction on the reservation to build the homes with radon reduction plans in before. And so there's also education and outreach that's required here. This is where we want to talk to the contractors, talk to the construction staff about what it is to put in an effective system at the beginning. And then for the homes that are existing, we need to look at mitigation for some of these homes. Again, there's a lot of education and outreach involved, and we want to make sure homeowners know what they're getting into, but also that our contractors out here know how to put in effective systems. And so here again, a couple more pictures of some of our radon mitigation training and looking at some of our new construction sites. And so luckily we do have some projects that are starting here on the reservation with radon systems installed, and I've been able to test a couple of those, and they've been very successful with just passive systems. That means without fans. And so those are great. That's the best way to go. You're going to save a lot of money by doing it during construction rather than going back and mitigating after. So I appreciate you for listening today. And again, feel free if you have any questions, you can get a hold of me by email or phone. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. There we go. Thank you so much. You came in just under the under the allotted time. That was perfect. Thank you so much. And I will send you both. I think Mansel's planning on basically actually loading the webinars, loading the recordings to the website and replacing the there's a section below just the downloadable PDFs that you both provided, and so he's going to actually replace that section below with the recorded versions. And so I'm going to talk to our IT person and see if he can clip the beginnings, just so that they're, if there was any discussion in the intro section, it'll be sort of seamless. So, but yeah, thank you both so much. I really appreciate it, and I know Mansell does as well. And yeah, I'm trying to think when I see you both at NTF, I'm like, what can we do to make up for that? So, yeah, so thank you so much. And
talk about go do web meeting.
Yeah, seriously.
Don't bring it up
It'll be like that scene from Office Space. We can drag the go meet now computer outside and just smash it. Awesome. Well, thank you both so much, and